when the name Corpse Paint came about.
For me, it's just like an electric jolt.
The real ugly side of humanity, and their music sounds like it. I always wanted to be a band that was approachable to people, that was just regular ass people.
Yo, what's up? So before I start this episode, I want to bring up two really good friends of mine that I've met along the way. They've been the backbone and really the biggest supporters of this podcast since day one. Everything visually you see with this podcast has been done by Wither Designs and Benny Bones Art, and it could be your band next. Check them out on social media, get yourself something unique and original, and yeah, let's do this.
So I woke up today and I fucking thought to myself, all right, Chad is on. And the first thing I want to tell you is, oh my God, dude, when Necrot dropped this song, The Blade, when I was like, I don't even remember. I think I was in college or something. I listened to that track and I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what I needed. And ever since I've been like hooked on death metal. So,
fuck yes, man. That's awesome.
I just remember the intro with the drum fill, and that was it. It took me.
Got you hooked for life.
Yeah. I was like, instantly, I was like, all right, death metal is the thing that I got to pay attention to. And then I think I saw you guys, was it Morbid Angel? Maybe, or
on the Decibel tour?
No. It was like, I think like 4 years ago. It was either Cannibal Corpse or Morbid Angel. Or no, you know what? It was both of them.
Yeah, that was the Decibel tour in 2019. It was Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, Immolation, us, and Blood Incantation.
Yes. That was a tour, man, where I was like, holy shit. I heard The Blade, and then right after, I think it was like soon, I saw you guys. And yeah, I was done. I was done for. But okay, so to dive into you a little bit, I gotta ask, being a musician myself and noticing that you have so many projects and then you got a record label, like how do you keep it in order?
I mean, I don't. Like, it's a lot to do. I'm basically like, no days off every day, just doing something where, it's either for the bands, for the label, both. I mean, it's every day, nonstop. I just basically, I just try to get everything done. I try to get as much as I can done every day, because tomorrow there's always going to be something else to do. And if you don't stay on top of it, you're just going to get overburdened and buried by everything.
Right. No, exactly. And I gotta ask, like, when was the point in your life where music became like your full-time gig?
I mean, I was like going. I mean, it was like 10 years ago, a little over that. I think it's like 12. Yeah, 10 to 12 years ago. I was working part-time. I was in college. I was, getting started basically with everything. I'd been playing in bands since I was 15, but it wasn't until I was like 18 or 19 is where I helped form Necrot, and that's kind of when things took off. When Luca and I were practicing like 3 times a week, it just, something had to give. So I dropped out of school, and I still worked, but I was still commuting up to San Francisco, where we first practiced like three or four times a week. And I joined a couple other bands in the meantime, but Necrot was always the main one. So yeah, I guess, yeah, like 10 to 12 years ago is kind of when it all started. And then 2017 is when Necrot released Blood Offerings, and then we just toured for 3 years straight.
That is freaking crazy. I can't believe that 2017 Blood Offerings was released, because now I feel like older.
Yeah, it's been 5 years. A lot has happened too.
Oh my God, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, I mean, basically from 2017 it became full time, and then when COVID hit, we couldn't play music, so I was just um I was doing the label every day and trying to get stuff going for that, and yeah, uh, it's kind of been that way ever since.
Now, what the hell's the deal with records now? I've been hearing like a
Hey,
weird
hey, sorry,
rumor.
I don't mean to cut you off. Can my cat got stuck in the room with me. Can I let her out real quick?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Sorry
No
about that. She was sleeping and now she's awake.
worries.
Come on, baby. Let's go. I know, babe.
That's funny.
Super sorry about that. I thought she was going to be sleeping for the entire interview, but I guess just got too excited hearing about all this band shit.
Oh no, man, it's cool. I remember I had an interruption once where I decided to cook a whole lasagna in the middle of an interview with the vocalist in Origin, and it, and half the time I was like, "Oh shit, is it done yet?" He's like, "Just take care of the lasagna, man. Don't worry about it."
Don't want to burn dinner.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, so 10 years ago basically. That's that's crazy. So when did the whole record label come to be? Was this like always a thought in your mind, or did it just like slowly creep in?
Well, with the record label, it was more just out of necessity. Like Mortuous was recording our Through Wilderness album in 2000. Like we started in 2016, and we're trying to figure out who we wanted to, send it off to. And since Necrot had a lot of success working with Tank Crimes, and I knew Scotty personally at that point, I felt like he would be the best option to go through and get Mortuous onto Tank Crimes just because of the amount of attention and like promotion that Scotty does for each of his releases. I just wanted that same love and attention brought to Mortuous because I had just joined Mortuous in 2014, and I'd always been a fan of the band, and I just know how like I just know all the work that Mortuous has, put in over the last few years of being a band. I mean, Colin started it as a one man project in 2009, and it became a full band in 2010. So it's just like at that point it was like 7 years of being a band. I just like I wanted the release to have a lot of attention put onto it, and I just felt like a lot of other labels, you know, they're they're not really familiar with the band, and so I was just worried that there wouldn't be that same level of attention put onto it. I just didn't want the record to be like shelved or put on some sort of schedule. Like I wanted the release to be on our terms, and with Tank Crimes, I felt like that could be done. And so when I finally sent the mixes to Scotty, he told me that he wasn't into it just because he already had a bunch of other stuff planned. And so at that point, I was just like, I don't have any other options that I can think of off the top of my head. So I'm just going to start a label because I know
Oh,
that I know, I felt like at the time I knew what to do enough to get like a proper promotion schedule, proper release schedule for this album. And so as soon as he heard that, he was like, "Here, why don't we do this? I'll help you build your label from the ground up and we'll split the release." And so pretty much Scotty like helped build Carbonize from that point on. He got me in touch with his graphic designer Mark, his PR person at Earsplit Liz, uh, distribution through Ebullition with Ken and Lisa, and so those are like, you know, the first few contacts I made. Oh yeah, and then also like with Pirates Press, getting linked up with his rep Eric and Chad and like just basically like hooking me up with like everything I needed to like get the label off on the right foot from the get. And we released the album in 2018. That was the first release I did on the label. And pretty much from that point on, you know, if I was interested in a release that a friend had sent over to me, or yeah, that's the thing. Like too, it's like it didn't just, you know, I wasn't putting out everybody. I was just putting out people that were from, you know, I was familiar with or I was friends with in the Bay Area, and that's just kind of how the label evolved. Is just working with my friends and releases that I actually believed in. Um,
That's
and
yeah,
now we're like what 4 years, almost 5 years later, and I have like 25 releases, so it's kind of a trip.
no, congrats, man. I mean, it's definitely like a new thing that I've been noticing. Like a lot of bands, they slowly wean themselves out of a label and they make their own. And I mean, it's it's smart in the sense of like, you know, you have all the rights too. Like you don't lose all of your like royalties, I'm assuming, and all that. Like how does that work in general with bands? I know like I've been told it's kind of like you buy a portion of the CDs or something like that from the band or
Well, I mean, with all of my releases, it's always been a percentage royalty. So the beginning it was 15%, and now it's 20%, for all formats and merch, whatever I decide to print or press for the album, the band gets 20%. But I mean, with the royalty collection, like with splitting digital, like I try to be as fair as possible and transparent as possible with all the bands, because you know we're all trying to make a success out of the record that we all believe in. So there's no point of like hiding anything or not being completely upfront or truthful with who I'm trying to work with, because I'd like to continue working with all the bands on my label as long as they'd want to work with me. So um the bands I mean, the only record that I've actually helped pay for like all the way was the latest Mortuous one, Upon Desolation. I pretty much paid for most of the recording, mastering the artwork, all the, you know, the pressing of the record, all the merch, all the, you know, the layout stuff,
holy
all the
shit.
advertising stuff. Um, and that was like probably the biggest like step I've taken with the label. But at the end of the day, I still, you know, split the digital 50-50, and I pay out every 6 months. Um, and I mean, a lot of bands that, you know, are making sales and like they're pushing their records, it's like they're getting paid more than most bands are, just because like usually, like, you know, other labels, they wait for the bands to hit them up so they can settle up. But it's like I'm on it always, because I don't, you know, I don't have a lot of time, and I also don't want people like waiting on me to make shit happen. I try to make it happen ahead of time, or you know, when it's time to do so, basically.
Right. Well, that's good that you say that because I've heard a lot of I've heard a lot of like horror stories where like a band basically they're like, "Yeah, we were supposed to receive the 200 cassettes, but they never came. We've been bothering this guy." But it's very
Oh,
nice to hear that you're like on top of the shit because right off the bat, my question was, how do you handle it all? I mean, dude, like you have okay, right now 4 bands and then you play in like guest and session work and live work and all that shit. Um it blew my mind, like to be honest with you. I mean,
yeah, but that's the thing. It's like it's doing it every day, and this is my job, so I have no excuses of why shit can't get done. I mean, as far as like bands getting their royalty copies and stuff, as soon as I get it from the pressing plants, I just ship it right to the bands, because I want them to have it before anybody else does. And like that way it's just like, the band knows that I actually press it and I'm not just like blowing smoke up their ass, or I'm like trying to hide it and like get all the profits or some shit like that. It's like I just want everybody to be happy, and like we're all in this together. We're a fucking team. So it's like, let's act like a team and get this shit done.
So I gotta ask about disinhibition. So like, um, I'm a fan of Vastum, Necrot, Mortuous, but I didn't know about this demo, these 2 songs. And just give me the rundown. It sounded like a very like grindy demo. What's the story with this project?
So Colin from Mortuous and I, like we grew up in San Jose. So when we were working at this pizza place that he got me a job at called Bogies, and after we'd work all night at Bogies, we'd go down to the studio and get some beers, smoke some weed, whatever, and like we would just cover like bands that we liked. And that's ultimately like what disinhibition was led, like it led towards that. Like we would cover a bunch of songs, and then we were like, okay, let's start writing like originals. And we had we were like actively jamming from 2011 till about 2014, and we had at least like an album's worth of material. It's just like Colin was busy with Mortuous, I was busy with Necrot, and then he moved to the East Coast for a while. So that's the only reason the band really didn't get off the ground. But that demo, we played this festival called Dead Fest like the weekend before, both nights, and then we cruised down to San Jose at like midnight, maybe two in the morning. We had to be up at like 8 or 9 to be ready to record that demo. We recorded it in like 4 or 5 hours with Fred from Unurnment and Abysmalist. And he also played in Permanent Ruin too. But yeah, like it was just mostly like, just a fun grind death metal project. And the rest of the lineup was actually filled out by Jay from Immortal Fate and Andre from Deathgrave, and he used to be in Cyanic, and a ton of other fucking bands like Brain Drill and shit. So it was, it's a sick lineup, and we want to get the band going again. It's just like we're so busy with like Mortuous and Necrot's, doing stuff again. Vastum is trying to do a new album. It's just like whenever we get some time in the future, we're gonna make it happen. But everyone's still on board, and yeah, it's a really fun project when we get the time to do it.
Now, okay, so if we're talking about Necrot, where are you guys headed? Are you guys focusing on doing a new record? I know it's been 2 years since Mortal. Where are you at with Necrot?
So, COVID pretty much ruined all of our chances of trying to push Mortal and tour on that. We've also just had like a bunch of personal stuff come up between the band, like just family stuff, just stuff that we all needed to take care for before we could get the band going. But we have a new album written. We're gonna record it in 2 months at Earhammer with Greg.
Yes,
and it's gonna be about 6 or 7 songs. Hopefully we're gonna have it out by like September, maybe October, and then we're gonna do a tour to support it. But we ultimately just have to get to the recording stage right now before any of that can fulfill itself.
I'm assuming that Mortal was not even toured then, right?
No, we just did our first 2 shows back in over 2 years. In LA and in Oakland. We played with Exciter in LA and then Possessed in Oakland, and both shows were a huge success. I mean, we had a great time. All the bands were sick, and it was just cool to see like the reaction that people had. They were, they wanted to see us, and they were like stoked that we were playing shows again, because for the longest time it's like we were not doing anything and not really like doing much like promotion for the band, just because it was like we all had so much stuff going on, and we just wanted to make sure that when it was safe enough to play shows again, that we would be able to do it and do it on our terms.
So, I mean, if you were to pick a few bands that are like your bucket list to tour with, who would they be? I'm kind of curious. Like, I mean, dude, you've already hit like the heavy hitters, but maybe some like bands that people wouldn't expect.
Damn. I mean, yeah, you pretty much nailed it. It's like we have toured with a bunch of sick bands. I mean, I would love to tour just with our friends again. Like, I mean, we toured with Faceless Burial back in 2019 over Australia and did some shows in Japan with them. I'd love to go out with them. Blood Incantation, Spectral Voice, Fetid, all the like Witch Vomit, Cerebral Rot, like all just like all of our friends bands that like we don't really get to see too often. I'd love to go out with them, and then trying to think of like some other bands.
Those were all good, man. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'd
Witch,
love to bring out
Witch
like
Vomit.
a band on my label too, just get the promotion out there. I've even like discussed doing like a double header like Necrot Mortuous, but
Oh,
that would
dude.
be that would be so brutal. And
I was about to say you're trying to have no knees by the end of the show.
yeah, I'd be killing myself, but it'd be fun. I mean, there's like so many bands that like we're friends with that we'd love to tour with. It's just like hard to think of on the spot, like um, man, like I guess
Okay,
like
how about this? Maybe like a festival too that you haven't played.
oh, festival. I had a fucking blast when I went to Netherlands Death Fest
Okay,
in
okay.
2018. I'd love to play one of the Death Fests sometimes if they'd have us. Um, it's always such a fun time and just like everybody's there. I'm looking forward to playing Unearth Morbidity with Mortuous next year. That'll be fun. That's a festival that David from Extremely Rotten puts on. A bunch of sick bands are already announced for that. Trying to think of any other festivals.
I'll give you mine, man. Obscene Extreme.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to do that. And then COVID scrapped it. So
Yeah, July 5th to the 9th, 2023. Obscene Extreme. Oh, dude.
it looks like such a fun fest.
Have you? I'm assuming that you haven't went to that festival before.
No, I've never been.
Um, Inferno Fest is another one that I want to go to. Hellfest, Vakken, Fire in the Mountains. What about
Oh, Fire in
those?
the Mountains is great. Yeah, I'd love to go to that one too.
Have you attended Fire in the Mountains before?
No, but my friends put it on and they like kill it every year. Like the lineups are insane.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was at Psycho Las Vegas and like everybody was bragging about that festival to me. They're like, "Yeah, man, Fire in the Mountains. Have you been there?" I'm like, "No." um, but it looks like an experience, man. It's different. Like, I mean, you probably went to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows where it's just like a black room. Like I'm trying to hang around in the mountains.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that meme, like, oh, you must see so much on tour, and it's just the green room, the stage, the van, hotel room, if you're lucky.
Yeah, like a dirty floor to sleep on or something. Like,
Yeah, sometimes, man, in those early days, it's all you could afford.
so I gotta say, I was at the Full of Hell tour in Buffalo, and unfortunately, I'm gonna sound like an asshole right now, but I was filming with Full of Hell during the Mortuous set. It was a shit show, and it ended up cutting into your set. But
Oh, that's all good. I mean,
it was so loud that like it resonated the floors, and I was like, good God, man, it's so low and heavy. I was kind of pissed after. I was like, damn it, I missed that.
yeah, that show was kind of crazy. I mean, I'd never played that. I played Buffalo like 3 or 4 times before, and that was the most recent time since the Decibel tour. And I'd never been to that venue, so it was kind of, kind of weird getting used to it, but I mean, it was a fine set. Like, I don't know. I feel like next time we come through, it'll be better. So yeah, you're fine, man. You didn't miss shit.
So, well, I remember that. Okay, so you guys played Town Ballroom in Buffalo when you were on that big tour. Um, Sounded
Yeah.
fantastic with Necrot. But then you came back to Rochester and played at a place called the Montage, and another monstrous set, man. But so I gotta say, like Vastum is another project that I'm huge into. Um, I guess like, what is your favorite part about being a part of that project? I mean, obviously all of the bands are death metal related, but is there something that, like, sticks out with that project in specific that
I mean
you
with
may have some more fun with?
uh, I mean with Vastum, again, it's like the same deal with Mortuous. Like I was a fan of Vastum before I was ever in the band, and I mean Carnal Law. Like the first time I heard it, it was like it blew me away just because it was like it was something that like I hadn't really heard done before, where it was like kind of punkish, crusty death metal, but like it was just it was its own thing, and I just really liked the dynamic between Dan and Layla, and Kyle was like ripping, these killer songs out, and Luke, like the thing with Vasum is like they all write songs, so it was like Layla, Kyle, and Luca were like all contributing these like awesome songs to that album. And it's like just such a memorable release, and so when they asked me to be a part of it, I was like, I was completely honored, and I was just like, yeah, of course. And I auditioned at the beginning of like 2013, and that's when I joined Vastum for the first time, and then I rejoined in 2018. Maybe it was like the end of 2018, early 2019. It's been a minute, but yeah, I mean with Vastum, it's just like I've always been a fan of the band before I joined, and they had already had Patricidal Lust out by the time that I joined the first time. So I was mostly doing that and Carnal Law songs. So it was awesome for me getting to play those songs, and now we have like 4 albums worth, and I was on the most recent one. So it's cool to have like a part of the history of that band now that like I really respect and admire.
Oh yeah, and I definitely feel um the freshness to that project, man. Especially when I heard Or Official Purge, like, um I was like, dude, there's just something different about it. It's just like the overall atmosphere of Vastum that it gives me is like, I don't know, it just hits different than a regular death metal band. Like it's a little bit punkier, like you said, and like crustier. Um, it's just fresh, like something different.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing with Vasm is like every album is like different from each other. Like, I feel like a lot of people were expecting Official Purge to be like Hole Below 2 or something, but I feel like it's like Official Purge like stands on its own as another sick Vastum record. And it's like, yeah, I'm on it. I can't really like I don't want to have like my bias here, but like I just feel like all the albums are different sounding, and that's what makes Vastum like fresh. Like you said, it's like it's not so it's not so similar every single time. There's like different feelings, different like changes that come up, and it's like, you know, it's cool that way, and not, you know, I feel like having like, you know, the same album every single time, it just gets stale. So why not mix it up and like try some new things?
And on top of that, dude, the one thing I have to say about Vastum is, I remember watching, I don't know, some live video, and the amount of energy that Daniel has, the singer in Vastum, is like crazy. Like, okay, I think there's a big difference between a frontman and then somebody that just knows how to control a crowd. Like, uh, I like watched him. Like, this dude is like, he like jumps in the fucking crowd, like gets, he just gets in their face. Like, I love that.
Yeah, not a lot of people have the balls to do stuff like that, and Dan is like, like he's unmatched. Like when it comes to like frontman or just like a vocalist in any sort of band, he just like commands everyone's attention, and the interaction that he has, it's not like against anybody's will or like, you know, unwelcomed. Like everybody's stoked to like be like involved in the show when he like jumps into the crowd, or when he like goes and grabs people. Like it's like a full experience. So I think Dan, like, you know, he's a great, he like just his energy and like his whole persona, it's such a great part of the band. And that's another part of like, you know, like seeing them and Acephalics before, like, you know, I knew any of them. It was like, damn, like those are such cool bands, and like they all bring something to the table. So it's like, I think, you know, when bands do that, they have a different energy about them, and people like really like that.
Oh yeah, and I think it pulls like, I don't want to call it ego away, but like the persona. Like I hate the fact when sometimes like bands, they get on stage and you just get that feeling of like, um you're just like sitting looking up at this person with like flashy lights. Like this dude Daniel doesn't give a fuck, man. He would jump in the crowd and be on the same level with you, you know what I mean? Like he just feels like, you know, one of us, like normal people. And that's the cool thing about frontmen that just like give everything that they have, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Daniel is a normal person. It's just like that, and that's like what I feel like he tries to do is just like get everybody involved and like put everyone on the same level. There's no, you know, I'm above you sort of attitude, or like you know, some sort of sense of entitlement. It's just like we're here to like, you know, like just basically like blow your mind, and like what, you know, like I guess deliver just a sick show.
Yeah, just like deliver punishing riffs and then just walk out like nothing happened.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you ever had an ass beating at a show and then they got off the stage and you're like, did that just happen?
An ass beating.
Oh yeah, dude, like just like, I don't know, man. Like I've went to a few shows where I just like, um after the show I'm like, did they just do that? Like some bands are just ridiculously heavy, like obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, there's been like a few shows that I've gone to where like you just get really into it, and I mean, like I guess like a band, I guess Doom, one of my favorite punk bands. Like just anytime I see them, I go off just because it's like one of my favorite bands. And then like another like Ascended Dead or something. They're another great band to see live. Just the musicianship is just like insane. Watching all them kill it. Another one is like Funebrarum. I saw them at Killtown Death Fest for the first time, and they were fucking awesome. Um, Trepanation, another memorable band. Nah, they just killed it every single time. And then Frenolith too is another. I remember like we were in Japan on the on the end of that Faceless Burial run, and we were just all partying at this fucking small little bar, with like Frenolith and Undergang,
Oh,
and I
sounds like
forget
fun.
who else might have played, but um, it was sick. So yeah, like I get what you're trying to say. Just like you see a band that has like such a sick performance, you're just kind of like damn,
Dumbfounded.
this
Like,
just happened.
dude, so I'll give you an example for me. So the pandemic, it finally broke, man. It was like the first show that came back that I helped host in Buffalo. It was freaking Nunslaughter. And after like not seeing music for 2 years and then Nunslaughter gets on the stage to like a packed house, that was a party. Like
Oh, I
that.
bet.
I'm not one to just like lose it at shows, but I lost it.
Hell yeah.
uh what do you like at shows normally? Are you like the guy in the back drinking a beer? Are you moshing? What are you doing?
Oh yeah. These days I can't be anywhere near the pit or the front because like I have two back surgeries and I'm just worried that you know, get injured or something because somebody wants to go buck. Like I'm usually in the back having a drink or like hiding somewhere if we're like playing. I'm usually hiding till we have to play because I don't want to drink or do anything before we play just so I don't fuck anything up. But yeah, like I'm more of a chill in the back and experience it all sort of thing.
Nice. So you actually like appreciate it. Like there's definitely musicians that say if I'm at a show, I'm drinking. You know what I mean? And um so you do you usually play drums sober?
Yeah, I don't like to play like any sort of like, or like drunk or like I don't really drink until after we play and during the week I'm usually really busy so I'm not drinking. It's usually only if we're like at a show I'll like have a couple, but
Right,
yeah,
somebody else's show, not
yeah, I
playing.
mean I used to party before we play and I just felt like, I'd get all sloppy and I just don't want to like I don't want to be sloppy. I want to like be solid while we play and that way it's like just have like a better feeling after the set and I can't, be like, "Oh, well, no, I was drunk, man. That's why I fucked it up." Like I don't want any excuses. Like I like to hold myself accountable.
No, that's awesome, man. And it's like a funny question I've never asked on here, but um I was in New York City and I went to a it was like a DIY punk show. This dude had such a great time that immediately after he played drums, like his set, he fucking vomited all over the kit, dude. Everywhere. And like,
Yeah.
but the thing was, like, he had an amazing set. Like, he was so focused, like his energy was there, but he was freaking wasted. Like, um, I had to like deliver him like a gallon of water in the middle of the set. Like, um, but that's cool that you you take everything seriously, and it obviously shines through with all of the releases and stuff. And your show, I've never seen a Necrot show that's loose. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's good because I mean, I definitely probably like at those shows I probably felt loose, but now it's just like I have it so dialed in. I've been playing these songs for way too long to be like, oh, I fucked up. Like I shouldn't be at that point. I should be like killing it every single time. So I'm glad at least that's shining through a bit.
Yeah. Now, what do you think is the hardest part about being a drummer, besides the fact of bandmates not wanting to help bring equipment into the spot? I'm not sure how that works if people help you or not, but that's
Oh
always a
yeah, I
running joke.
mean, I've been I get help. That's the thing. Like we all help each other. As soon as it's time to load in and out, we're all helping. So there's nothing like that. I think like the hardest thing about being a drummer is just like you are kind of left to like hold everything together. So it's like if you fuck up, everyone can hear it, and it might, derail everything. So it's like there's a lot of pressure to hold it all together. But I don't know. I feel like if you're the drummer and you're also like the one who like is responsible for like the behind the scenes stuff too, then a lot of weight gets added to that. So it's just like it's you got to just find the balance, and ask for help when you need help, because nobody's a mind reader, and holding on to resentment isn't going to do anybody good. So it's just like you either can like push through it and not be a baby, or just let it let it take control. And like I don't like to let things take control like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's definitely like a lesson that I could tell that you've learned. I mean, you've been in so many projects. Like, I could just imagine the funny stories of band breakups and all that shit that you probably have in your back pocket.
Yeah, there's a. I mean, if you've been playing music for over even like 5 years. I mean, everybody has their stories. I've been playing, like I said earlier, I've been playing in bands for like 15 years. So yeah, like a lot of stuff comes and goes. Uh, it's just how like it's how you handle it is what really matters, because people are gonna react however they're gonna react, and you can't control any of that shit.
Yeah, and I gotta bring up. So like, I've been posting like snippets of the next documentary that I'm gonna release. And this dude, he commented, he's like, "Is it too late to start a band? I'm 23." And I'm like, "What the fuck, man? It's never too late to start a band. Who's saying this?"
Yeah, I mean, you really just got to have the drive, and everything will fall into place if you're persistent and dedicated enough.
Yeah, and it's cool to hear um people like yourself that have so much going on. Like you got the label, you got all the bands, like um you're you're like, but then again, like you're leveraging everything. You know what I mean? Like not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Like, you have to do it every day, because if you're not on top of it, somebody who is just gonna swoop in and fucking take your spot. It's there's so much competition out there, and a lot of people don't have the drive, or they get burnt out, and it's like you can't let yourself get burnt out, because it's like if you love doing this and you want to keep going, you just got to go for it, because like nobody's going to do it for you. The work instills the work.
Yeah. Now, I gotta ask, how do you stay away from the burnout period? I mean, a lot of artists struggled with this all the freaking time. I mean, um, I noticed that like in the past, you were in like it was like a blackened punk band, which
I
I
mean,
didn't even know about either.
yeah, Atrament, I always consider that just a punk band, but it got that blackened like term thrown onto it from, people doing promotion for the album, and it's like it was just like a straight up D beat band. Like we're just playing like D beat crust punk shit. And yeah, there was like some blast beats, but it wasn't anything like, I don't know, like I would never be like, yeah, this was a black metal band. but but yeah, like I mean, I've been in a bunch of projects over the years, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. Like, Necrot's always been my main band since 2011. Like after my first band broke up, so it's like seniority rules to me, and that's how I've always lived. It's like whatever project I was in first, that gets first dibs, and everyone knows that, and everybody that I work with knows that. So it's like, there's that understanding. But yeah, like some bands just like it just doesn't last, because everybody like that's the thing. If you're in a band, you're probably in like three bands or more, and you're just like trying to
Especially a drummer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like in 2016, I was in 7 bands. Like I don't know why, and I was working full time, and it was just like, why am I doing this? Like I'm punishing myself constantly just to like play local shows and like do a tour every once in a while. Like this is dumb. So like yeah, some bands had to go, and it's not like there's any ill will. It's like that's the way it happens. It's like if you want you know certain things to progress, like other things have to take a back seat.
Yeah. And I would assume that like creatively you probably were like, I don't know, the same fills, the same beats. You probably were like, all right, I'm in the same damn band. You
I
know?
mean, that doesn't bother me so much just because it's like I grew up listening to punk and metal, and so it was like I love playing this type of stuff, but it's just more of like time management. Like how many bands can you realistically be in without a few getting the short end of the stick?
Yeah, and you don't want to release something that like is half ass. You
Yeah,
sound like
exactly.
I was gonna say you definitely sound like a person that you're either going 100% or might as well not do it.
Pretty
Like,
much, man. Keep it 100.
yeah. um, is there anything that you want to bring up as of I don't know, just in general of like the label or anything that you want to promote or anything like that?
um, I mean, if people could continue to support Carbonize, that would be amazing. I already am super thankful for the support that I've had over the past 4 years, and now getting into the fifth year in 2023. Like, it's just crazy that I've even been able to keep it going this long. So, just, I guess, you know, shout out to everybody who's been down since day one, or just even anybody new who's just finding out about the label. Like, I'm super thankful for all the support. Um, Necrot is going to be busy in 2023. Mortuous is going to be doing the same. Vastum has got a new album in the works. I don't even know if I can be talking about it, but I guess you heard it here first.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Um, but yeah, we're just trying. Like all the bands are keeping busy. I've got some guest and live and session stuff coming up. Um, Label is going to be just as busy this coming year as it was in 2022. Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. As
So here's the closing one. Ready? Where do you want to be in the next 5 years with the label and your bands?
damn, okay. Get my 5-year plan.
Well, let's
um,
see you're like living, alive,
yeah, I'd like to be above ground, maybe. I mean, I'd like to just keep going with the label, of course. I mean, that's basically what I do nonstop every single day. So it'd be cool if things kept progressing with that. Um, I'd really like to do some more tours, maybe get back to Europe, get back to Australia and Japan, um, get out to Scandinavia. I've never toured Scandinavia before, so that's kind of like a bucket list thing.
that's bucket list. Okay.
I'd like to take a vacation in the next 5 years, like an actual vacation, not work related or band related, like just
Vacation, are
like
you talking like Hawaii? Like
just
tanning?
something
Like
where I can like
sit on a
where I
beach?
can be off the hook for like a week, no priorities, no responsibilities, just like I'm chilling.
Yo, yo, why don't you just get a hostel, man? That's a cheap
Nah,
alternative.
man, I ain't gonna
Oh,
I ain't gonna get a hostel. I've been in too many hostels. I'll get a hotel and have my own
you're
room.
you're
I don't
trying to
need
put
to.
your flip-flops on and live life.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess yeah. In the next 5 years, I want to take a fucking vacation.
Yes. All right. Just so we end this right, there will be a donate link No, I'm just kidding. But
Donate to my vacation, y'all.
yeah, I was like, man, I'm gonna put a donate link in the description, and yeah, this is for his Hawaii fund.
Oh yeah.